Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave with Barry from Factory Entertainment. How are you, sir?
I am in heaven.
We always let people come over a little early just so they could take it in before filming. Yeah, I feel you. I saw Barry very recently when I was down at San Diego Comic-Con. We spent some time in the behind the scenes of Factory Entertainment's booth, and you showed me some amazing things. And then we said, just come to the cave and show them to me on camera. Dude, this is like an incredible number of toys. This is the first thing you handed to me. Can we crack this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, is this as you're selling them?
Yeah, this is production. So they come, the conceit here is that this is, you know,
a beautiful
if Starfleet
display.
was going to present you with a, when you retire.
Oh my gosh, yes! Oh right, like a
idea.
gun display box.
Yeah.
This is a medical tricorder, but it's metal.
Yeah.
Is this the first one anyone's done in metal?
The Master Replicas one had some metal parts, but no, this is the first, as I'm aware, fully die-cast. There isn't a single bit other than some of the screens and the buttons. The entire thing is metal.
Oh my God, it feels like I've wanted every tricorder to feel forever. Oh my goodness. And the screen, oh my God, look at the screen.
Yep. You got Geo, Met, and Bio with graphics. So we took the original 35mm slides, which is what they used on the original, which was static.
Right.
And we had them animated, sent them to Paramount, and then there's a few little things buried in there that they didn't notice, but the eagle-eyed can look when they get it.
That, I mean, I'm so used to the toy one, with that one slide. And we were actually just hanging out with Mike and Denise Okuda, who designed this beautiful graphic system. Dude, I just can't get enough of how beautiful this is.
Well, thank you. But Mike took it and said, "You did a nice job," and that made me.
Did he? Can I ask, when you first finished this, did you guys all just like take one home and sort of like?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So we got the switch working on a permanent. It was harder than you think because every previous one has had wires that run through the hinges, and of course, eventually with wires that run through hinges, so we tried to come up with a multi-part thing that also doesn't give you a delay. When you open it, it's right there.
It really is, and
there's the hand scanner. It's machined aluminum. You push the little brass button, and then you get the interaction between the two, and it does slide back into the top.
Either way?
Yep, that way. Only goes one way, and you click it down, and then now it's secured.
Dude, we can spend the next 10, 15 minutes just on this.
Well, this is how you know, when I actually got to hold some of the original props, and I was so confused because on screen they looked so good.
Right.
In reality, they're just really not that good. But on screen, I could swear the screens moved, you know?
Right.
But they didn't. But that was the magic of it. You captured that because you looked beyond it. You saw what you wanted it to see.
Okay, so there must have been a moment when you guys ideate that you want to make this body out of metal, when you're like, we're going to move towards this. I imagine you might have thought, we're going to move towards this, but there's no way we can afford to do this.
Well, and small quantities too. We're only doing 1,000 of these, so there is a limit. You know, this isn't mass production. If we were making mass production, you can do a lot more.
So you don't get you're not enjoying an economy of scale at this.
Far from it.
Range.
No, there are limitations of scale, and we have to do it. You know, we live in an age where anybody with a 3D printer and talent can print some amazing things.
Absolutely.
We have to go one step beyond, and you can't die cast in your living room just yet.
Right.
We're getting there, but not yet.
And this looks like a fully machined
Yeah, fully
part.
machined. Yeah, because the originals were, and you can't emulate machined. I mean, there are ways to do it, but when you touch it and you know.
Yeah, and it just turns out that it looks best when it's actually just.
Otherwise, it just looks wrong, and it has the correct, because there were two versions. One had no lights, but they were operating props that did have lights. They didn't have any sound, and we spent ages looking at the sound, and I've watched so many episodes of TNG. It never makes the same sound twice, and half the time, it doesn't make any sound. The sound is in just, you know, there's just ambient noise in the background, but again, I could swear that every time it was used, it made a sound.
But a
when
slightly
you go
different
back and
sound.
watch, you're like, wait, there's no sound at all.
That's hilarious.
So this is one of those ones where, well, what's the right sound? Well, I just picked one. Because, you know, there are multiple sounds, and same, the lights in the top that chase.
Yeah.
And we do have the chasing feature. It isn't always this pattern. There's inside out, outside in, left to right, right to left. Which one do you pick? Or do you put them all in and have it, then you become
This is what makes
disappear
your
into a
This is what makes your business model so complicated.
Yes.
Because your fans
Yes.
will have, the folks who can afford to buy these
Yeah.
are also have a lot of time to make sure they're getting exactly what they want, right? So I'm sure you sell this and someone's like, I need the outside in because that's the one I dreamed I was going to.
Yeah. So we try and tell them, you know, I picked it, guys. I'm the one. If you don't like it, shout at me. But then we have a whole bunch of additional. We have to make sure that it passes battery safety regulations and all those boring things that, because it is a consumer product, it can't just be thrown out. It has to be reliable. It has to be durable. Just getting the metal was a challenge, but getting the screen, trying to buy 1,000 small screens.
Just 1,000.
Just 1,000, because the guys that sell screens look at you and go, what? 1,000?
Why? Right.
Click,
They want 1,000 per week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
So I'm curious also about the machine finish of this, because if you do this out of straight like aluminum, do you not get some anodizing, natural anodizing? Did you guys
it's
do
an
a
aluminum
treatment?
alloy. It's not pure because it will end up that chalky white.
Yes.
And
so you chose an alloy that has a nice bright finish.
It's been fondled and handled. It shouldn't have any problems with, that's the battery access. It should be, you know, human sweat and skin is corrosive. So yes, and just in the air, you know, raw aluminum castings look great for what? 10 days. If you live by the sea, 5 days.
It's so funny. I have a polished suit of aluminum armor in my foyer, and I have seen the Joan of Arc armor from what's her name? Ingrid Bergman, Joan of Arc. So I've seen that Debbie Reynolds armor, and it's totally matte. And it was shiny when they made it. Yeah, it just sits there and anodizes.
There was a reason why they gave you know, knights assistants the job of polishing the armor with sand. That was the worst job.
I having polished a lot of armor, it is the worst job.
That's how you become from a squire to a knight. You've got to polish a lot of armor.
Oh man! So people have been building tricorder replicas ever since tricorders were on television. What are some of the issues that everyone has had that you guys tried to solve?
One right there, the ratchet sound, particularly on TNG tricorders, that's such a key feature. Why it exists, we don't know. It makes no sense if you think about it. They wouldn't have been cogs inside the door, but everybody knows when you open a TNG tricorder, same as when you open a TOS tricorder, it goes beep, beep. TOS communicator. So that noise should be mechanical. It's meant to emulate a mechanical noise, but there is no way to incorporate mechanical. It simply couldn't be designed that way.
Right.
So it has to be electronic. Now, a lot of previous ones have a delay. So you open it and about halfway across it starts.
Oh, right, because it's just using like a Hall effect sensor or something like
that.
Right.
So we've got a double switch. And the other problem is the mechanicals inside the hinges here. Most of them run wires through the hinges.
Which is eventually a pinch point that's going to wear.
Fail, no matter what you do. So we've got double. We've got the sound that comes here instantly, which is helped to be triggered by this. So people are thinking, oh, it's a switch. Well, it's not, because what it does is if you push it down, it now thinks it's closed. When you get to there, it'll stop. But if you release that, that starts the sound.
Oh,
so
that's the...
So it's a double, there's a magnetic connector here, so you should be able to get fairly instantaneous action.
So as you're opening it, you've sort of built in the thing to mirror the actions.
It's fake mechanics, fake engineering.
That's hilarious. Because of course, I can see mechanically, there's no place to put a ratcheting of anything in there.
Yeah, and then it would give you so much resistance, because we all see them, they're open with such ease.
Right.
It wouldn't actually be easy, it would be, you'd have to crank the thing. Got a touch sensor there, so it will.
Oh, that's where it is. I see. Oh, changing the screens is such a game changer.
And it gives you, you just sit there and you go, oh, that's oddly satisfying.
It really is. Now I just want to scan everything.
Well, and this is where you get into the licensing issues. You know, our good friends at the One Company have a license to do equipment. We have prop replicas. Where does the border blur? We're all good friends. We don't want to step on them. They don't want to step on us. And people are like, well, why can't you make the scanner talk to the... Because then it's not a prop replica, then it's an electronic device, and then that's a whole other license category. And so
amazing.
That's another issue that becomes problematic, because we're working within a very tight, defined pattern of things. You can do this and you can do this, but you can't do that. But
I love the fact that it's not like you consider them enemies. They're just another colleague at a different part of the river.
We share.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's really awesome.
I mean, we've been talking about various things and discussing things, and they share with us and we share with them. And
you're trying to maximize how many people can get these and not bastardize each other's...
And timing too. You know, we don't want to hit people's pocketbooks at the same time, because if we both bring out a high-end thing in the same week, then
Oh,
you know,
that just means you guys are friends and helping the fans out with that friendship.
So, yeah,
That's
I mean,
lovely.
we have to be. Star Trek's a family at the end of the day. This is a very close-knit community of people, and if we don't talk to everyone, you know, no man's an island at the end of the day.
So isn't that, I know we're only at the early part of the video, but I think that's really beautiful because I feel like that ethos was baked in by Roddenberry from the absolute infancy of this concept.
Yeah, it's
that idea of a family, that idea of working together.
Pursuit of perfection. I mean, families, we've all got one, they're usually dysfunctional, and it's not a perfect family, but we strive for as close to perfection as we can get.
All right, let's move on. Now I'm noticing these boxes too are not the same box, they're all different.
Yeah,
so you guys are manufacturing different versions of these. And I just want to be clear, like, for people at home, like, that's its whole own manufacturing problem solving, am I right?
Oh, yes.
Because you're not just going and ordering number 41 off the shelf. You're ordering custom size. It's got to have finish. You've got QC. You've got hardware choices.
Yep. Well, and then just production can be, it's a box. So the manufacturers of boxes assume these are transit cases that are just designed to hold something. So when we're quite strict about this finish, this lovely Starfleet blue is really, really difficult. It would be so much nicer if it was a gloss finish.
Right.
Because it shows every mark, it shows every flaw.
Certainly does. Like any ding in it.
But it has to be this, for even just transfer, you know, it rubs, matte finishes, not good. Any kind of anything, they should always be high gloss piano black, then would be fine.
I was amazed.
That's not Star Trek.
I had to do a large prop at one point that had to be glossy, and I just took it to an auto body shop and had them do that paint. And then I was in, first of all, their paint job was terrible. Up close, drips everywhere. But because it was that level of gloss, you couldn't see it.
Hides a multitude
all of that
sins.
disappears. I was blown away.
Well, that's one of the Star Trek universe things. You know, there's another sci-fi universe that's known for its dirty, great for hiding things. Star Trek, clean, pristine. It's a nightmare.
All right, let's move on to a couple of phasers here.
Yes, we're working our way through the TNG phasers.
Oh, man.
Got Cobra right there. This is not truly TNG, but it's from the movies. So you got the Assault phaser. Crack that one open.
Really?
That one. This is why we go to as many shows as we can, because there's nothing to substitute.
Oh,
that.
Right. So I'm always describing on this channel how I'm looking for an experience, and I very much will choose experiential perfection over aesthetic fidelity. And it looks like you've gotten both here, but this feels precisely like what I would expect a issued phaser to feel like.
It's exactly the same way as a fully loaded automatic pistol. Because William Shatner, when he was involved, now Greg Jean built this, but his brief for this weapon was that it should look like an automatic, it should look aggressive, which is somewhat counterintuitive to the Star Trek universe. But it is all metal. I've been lucky enough to work on this twice. I used to work at another replicas company with some initials that lots of people know. And at the end of that company's life, this was one of the last products, and it was rushed out. It was pushed out with no budget. Everything was restricted, and the guys did the best job they could, but corners were cut. I luckily get to go back and fix
the
some
old
of those
mistakes.
corners. So everything's now metal. We have the rubber grips. We have a fully functioning P1 that can be operated separately.
What?
And so you do have that as a separate piece. And then if you pull the breech open, and you can stick that little baby in there. And if we turn him on, it's powered up. One thing that always bugged me on the original, now it will close like a real gun.
I just want to hear that again. That must have been very satisfying. The first time you got to try that.
Because in the movie, it's just hand done.
Yeah.
But that's how guns close, so that's how it should be. And it's quite funny with a British guy making comments about accuracy of handguns, but...
It is... I imagine the prop master looks at this and is like, "Oh, for Christ's sake!" After they worked so hard on this, and now I guess. But
you could just do that for hours, right?
I really could. I could just sit here and do this all day long.
I have done that.
What a sound!
I like that one, and then as you discover when you put the mag in.
Oh yeah, and it makes the.
And you have auto rapid fire as well now, which we didn't have. If you hold the trigger down, it will just repeat. And there are two sounds. You get Star Trek 5, and then weirdly in Star Trek 6, they changed the sound. We don't know why.
some spectacular laser sounds.
Yes.
Across the whole toy line. I think there's a Klingon bird of prey that has one of my all-time favorites.
That sound, yeah. Yeah, with the sonic kind of, yeah.
It's really
Well, that's one of the
good.
challenges, trying to get, obviously no props have sound in them, or very
Right.
few. Trying to get speakers inside these things that don't sound tinny and tiny. Where do you put them? Where do you hide them? Where do you there's no resonance box. Being all metal, this helps. You can hear it has much more echo.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's a real challenge. We'll talk about the Klingon phaser in a minute, but trying to hide a speaker in that, boy, oh boy.
Do you benefit from the economy of scale of smartphone speaker technology?
Yes, yeah,
that has
very
been.
much so. Yeah.
I was amazed when I found out that they were adding plastic beads into the speakers to increase surface area of sonic bounce.
Yeah, and another thing that's changed, that's improved through smartphone speakers is not necessarily the audio, it's the power. You know, a powerful speaker used to be great, but it would drain a battery like you wouldn't believe. Now, that's not such an issue. And you get much more battery life out of what would have lasted probably an hour.
That's amazing.
previously.
That's amazing. Okay, let's. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Oh wait, right. Here, let's put
Now
this
we're going to put it back properly.
Yes, why not?
Get a chance to shut it again.
Oh, there we go. Yes, exactly. Oh, so pretty.
And again, on your retirement from Starfleet, that was the idea. Now, some people like these, some people don't. The idea was, and it was purely practical, when we started working on these, we wanted to put them in the acrylic display cases.
Yeah.
At that point, the price of acrylic had shot up to such a point it was adding about a third to the cost. So we decided,
So this was the
well,
cheaper
the idea
way
was
than
to
a
try and make these an acrylic display case without the problems. That's changing, and acrylic is coming down in price again.
Yep,
So we
yep.
are going to go back to the acrylic display cases for some pieces, but we wanted to sort of finish out the line because there's some argument to be said when you have them together as a group, and you can stack them on a shelf.
This would be
They
really
look
nice.
Yeah, it's a collection in a collection.
And you've also burned through the quality control issues.
Yes,
of
we
this
now know
methodology.
anybody who bought our medical hypo spray will know we had to replace all the boxes because every single one of them, we didn't secure the pieces inside adequately because being die cast, and they rattled around and smashed into the lid. So now these all come with a big plate that fits inside here that completely protects. Because again, keeping acrylic clean and scratch free, a lot more difficult than people realize, especially over 500 to 1,000 pieces.
All right, now I'm going to pull this dustbuster out here. Again, metal.
Yeah, all metal, all die cast.
What?
This one's ready to go. You turn this one on by holding down the left power button for a second, and it'll turn on, and you get the big green lights. And then you go up and down with power from these two, and then that's the fire button.
Oh.
And at different sounds for different power levels. Some stun only has single fire, but the higher powers have continuous fire as well. And then this is the one from Ensigns of Command.
Okay.
That episode where we see Data playing with it. So we'll have to be quick here. If we hold down these two, it'll go into overload. Everybody knows phasers overload.
Yes.
And we see in Ensigns of Command, so we'll hold them down. Now it's overloading. We see Data and later Worf opening it up. And you can actually disengage the overload sequence by pushing right there.
You are crazy.
So it's a little bit of fun. Now on the original prop, the interior was just decorated with tape.
Right, yeah, that makes total sense.
We've tried to...
Look at you throwing a whole bunch of resistors.
Well, the realms of prop replica, you know, would you really want something decorated just with tape?
You know
Probably
what this is making me wonder is I'm really looking forward to your guys' Men in Black display with the face coming in the little creature driving the...
Yep, that would be fun.
That's what that's for.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't believe you added that in.
It's just a bit of a fun feature. You can start overloading it, and now it'll, and if you leave it, it will actually explode, but you just push that little square detail in there. So you can be Data and Worf. And there's a great scene, actually. He runs out of the elevator, the turbo lift, after they find it on the floor, and Worf disengages it. And the original prop had a really clever little spring-loaded mechanism with a tiny little stud. But when he runs out of the turbo lift, he's actually holding it like this. And you can actually see the door moving.
Of course.
Again, it's the stormtrooper banging his head. You don't see it until you see it. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I know, amazing. The metal aspect of these is incredible. And like as a group, it's among the more satisfying set of props I have touched.
Well,
that is really spectacular. You know, I like I said, you guys have the hardest fan base to sell to because they want what they want and they want it really specifically. But
we're used to that though. I mean, and we encourage the feedback.
Yeah.
You know, we can't always do it. And yes, we will drive people to distraction sometimes, and there will be the vehement, well, you're wrong.
But you're also being
there's always
open
a reason
about the
why.
process too,
We
right?
don't just sit there and go, you know what, I'm just going to annoy a bunch of Star Trek fans today. The thought has crossed my mind from time to time.
All right, let's talk about the Klingon disruptor here.
A couple of new, these are only prototypes, so you won't feel the same,
Yep.
but we're going down the same route. So this is Krug's disruptor, and this is the communicator. This is going to be the first in a line of, I guess we call them stunt props. So the prop in the movie is just like this. And with these two items, we actually purchased some original props from the Greg Jean collection that was auctioned.
Incredible.
We had the pleasure of working with Greg, and his collection was epic.
Insane,
and we went to the auction and thought, you know, we're going to be priced out the market. But we were lucky enough to pick up some pieces. So we've actually been able to get, you know, you can't get better accuracy. They're screen-used pieces. We just did Star Trek Las Vegas, and we're able to hand one of these to Christopher Lloyd, his phaser, his disruptor, and that was definitely satisfying. But it was really interesting because I'd never noticed until I started working on it. This is obviously a target pistol, of some kind. Haven't yet been able to work out what, but it's obviously very clearly a right-handed target pistol.
Yeah.
If you watch the shot where he terminates the gunner. He's holding it in his left hand, and it's really awkward. And I had assumed that he was a lefty, but we handed him the gun, and he picked it up with his right hand. It was the shot. They actually made him hold it because the gunner is sort of down there, and it was better with the left hand.
Fair, yeah.
But if you watch it again, it's really uncomfortable to hold in your left hand because it doesn't fit.
I have to say, as a piece of just aesthetic design, that is one of the loveliest grips I've ever seen.
I'm trying to track this pistol down. I haven't been able to find it. It must have been
You believe
something.
this was...
we were told by the prop makers that it was cast from a target air pistol.
Okay.
But I gather
like Olympic air level?
I guess so. But I gather a lot of those were quite niche. So there's probably...
so bespoke and
possibly.
maybe small runs?
Not been able to track that down. This one is the communicator that we see held up to Savic's face. And we've literally copied it exactly. The only thing we've done is we've added metal fins.
Oh, so they don't shatter.
Every single one of them is broken. Every prop. Even
right.
actually, when we see it held up to Savic, you can actually see one of them is bending. And I got to talk to the original prop maker, and he was brilliant. I spent ages trying to work out what this is. It's the end of a palette knife.
Oh, of
now
course
you see
it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the fat, you know, the one that comes with the two sides.
Yep.
They were just a whole bunch of palette knives. They cut the tops off and stuck them in.
Hilarious.
Phillips shaver.
Oh, of course. I also love, aesthetically, these feel like right out of almost a Mobius illustration. Yeah. Right? The browns, that's like...
The Klingon stuff all has, and the wear and the dirt. You don't see that in Star Trek very often.
There's also, it feels a little like old, like Heathkit Electronics, right? Like these feel like, it's like the color scheme of resistors from the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So these will be the start of a Klingon line.
And so when you're saying you're releasing these as like stunt pieces, so they're static.
This one will be static stunt.
Right.
This one will have lights and sound features. These are metal. Because again, this is everybody that knows this. This particular model, riddled with problems.
I'm sure.
Another fun Christopher Lloyd fact, when he pulls it from the holster with his left hand, it's not a holster. There was a guy standing behind him and just handed it to him because it would not pull from a holster. They literally built a catch. It's the seat from an RC car model.
Oh, amazing! Of course it is.
But it couldn't be worse as a barrel because it's literally a catch. So very quickly after Star Trek 3, they cut the front end off and replaced it with the hawk nose. The rest doesn't change all that much. And then they modified it again and again. But yeah, every one of these props is broken. So this is all metal in here. And again,
amazing.
Fun one to do. And this one, we're really lucky with. This one's going to be a Christopher Lloyd signature piece as well.
Oh, incredible. Incredible.
He was happy to do that with us, which was a true honor.
That is beautiful. I want to touch Geordi's visor.
Of all these things,
this
one's the one that nearly killed me.
Metal, again. I didn't... oh, look at this.
So we'll be really clear up front. This is a prop replica, but no prop ever looked like this.
Right, right. No,
disappointingly bad inside.
The real ones.
They didn't need to be. I mean, they had we never ever, and again, it's one of those false memories. I could swear we saw an episode where he would take it off. You never saw it. You never saw the inside.
You never saw the inside. There was episodes in which he pulled it off his face like this, and you saw his eyes.
Never saw the... No. So there were various props. Some had a very simple elastic band that just ran behind the head.
Okay.
The torture device, which is not its official name, had turnable clamps that would actually clamp into his head.
What?
And hold it onto his head. And then the most popular and I gather comfortable, although none of these were comfortable, he's publicly spoken about how horrible it was just eyeglass. They had some wire eyeglass things here and some hooks that went over the ear that could be hidden. But this is what we think it would have looked like, and Paramount have blessed this. We've cleaned it up. We've hidden. There's no visible screws. But from an assembly point of view,
no visible screws.
These are all brass rods trying to line up. It's a top and a bottom.
I was wondering about that.
Trying to line up 64 brass rods.
Oh my God, and they're all loose fit.
Yes, as per the prop. Trying to make the jig to hold those together, that may have put a few engineers in a rest home, I think.
Wow.
And the wire mesh behind, again, it's such a simple thing. You just put it up to your face. You literally can't see the eyes through it. It works so well, and yet you can see through it.
Is that how the real one worked? With the wire mesh behind the bars?
The early props had the bars offset, which were very difficult. He literally couldn't see.
Oh, wow.
So then they put the bars like this. And then, of course, you could see his eyes straight through it. But see, I can't see your eyes. They're completely obscured. But you can see well enough not to fall down a flight of stairs.
Indeed. And it's actually, I'm impressed with how well it fits my head.
It fits your head perfectly, actually, because it's modeled directly from the original prop. So it will only fit LeVar Burton and you, apparently.
Well, I've been told how often I look like LeVar Burton. I've never been told that.
Silly little details in the show. Sometimes these are raised. Sometimes these are recessed. So to give people the option, they're little magnetic. Because, again, there is no right answer
This is the most amazing fan service yet. That's amazing.
When we can, we will.
Yeah. Oh,
we're really pleased with this one. It's
I hope people write to you and thank you for doing this.
Just people enjoying it is enough. When people come up to you and they tell you things like, "Oh, I wanted this since I was a kid," or that's, you know, people ask me, "What do I collect?" That's what I collect. I'm an emotional vampire. I collect the happiness from people when they hold these things.
I feel you on that, because I do a lot of cons and I hear a lot of stories and I sit there at the table, and at the end of one of those days, I'm high as a kite from the enthusiasm and the... Okay, I'm really a little bit flummoxed by how you... So this is all metal.
Yeah. There's a top and a bottom.
Right.
And then there is a seam, but it's then filled, sanded down, and painted. So they're all done. We have to mask all of these off. And then the inside, these are the plates that cover up the screws. So this is a separate piece that fits over, and there is a screw here and a screw here.
This little...
But once it's together, it can't be taken apart. So
oh, wow. Okay.
It's permanent. But the idea is that this is, you know, these were supposed to be an issued medical device, the VISOR. Not Starfleet, interestingly. I thought it was, but no, apparently this was something that, you know, was widely used within the Star Trek universe. So we're trying to create it as close to reality as we're ever going to get for a sci-fi TV series.
That is really incredible. And having seen some of these up close and seeing pictures of them up close, I'm always amazed at how well they played on camera for what they were.
It's the magic of cinema. You see them and then you see the real prop and you go, really? No way. One of them had just rubber here. And there's a seam that runs all the way around, and it's just a piece of flexible rubber, and yet you see it on camera and it looks like a piece of aluminum.
Your eye
and then, of
fills it
course,
all
you
in.
think, well, how would he have worn that the whole time? It would have been impossible. It would have fallen off, because it's not heavy, but it's heavy enough that if you were wearing that, you wear glasses, if that was on the bridge of your nose for an hour, you'd have a headache after 20 minutes. Apparently he did.
Did you commiserate with the original prop master about how nightmarish it was to say so?
Yes. They said, how are you going to set the pins? And I went, wait, what? Didn't even think about it until the guy who's actually doing this was like, this is not going to be fun.
Oh, man.
But he worked it out, and that's kind of fun. I quite enjoy that, too.
It is a really nice actual
fidget spinner
action. God. We have one more piece to look... Oh, no, we have two more pieces to look at. A phaser and a phaser rifle.
Yes.
Let's look at this guy.
Strange New Worlds. You turn this,
my God,
turn
again.
this one on the side here. Flick the safety. That's apparently what that's called. Now, this one is really interesting because this is a current in-production show. And we've been able to work with the team and production to future-proof this, because as of filming of this show, we've barely seen this thing operate on camera, for the reasons that it cost a fortune. Each one of them was about $7,000 to make, so they only have a limited number. And they didn't need, the plot has not demanded things like a removable P1 or an overload or fully functioning operating systems, which it now has. So on the original props, this is just a battery cover. And you just pull it off. Now, it's a P1 that you can operate. You've got stun, kill, and overload as separate settings from the thumb wheel and a little trigger there.
Nice.
It doesn't have to have any connections. We've gone with rechargeable USB power here. Then there's nothing in here at all now. This is just a dead.
So this is
unit.
the full power unit
Yes.
of the phaser.
And we got some built-in Starfleet safety. So we're now in kill. When you put it back into the, it will automatically reset to stun because you shouldn't have your weapon accidentally turn into kill. but when you want it, you change it to kill. And different sounds. They gave us new. We said, how does the overload sound? We don't know. We haven't heard it yet. How does the automatic? So this all came from production. They gave us these audio files, and you have this constant noise. This was something you didn't pick up in the show at all. It does that. That is intended to tell you that the weapon is ready. Not so good for stealth.
Not so good for stealth, but what a great
It's a lovely little feature, yeah. And it sounds dangerous, kind of ominous.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
All machine, yep. Clicky bit. Again, prop doesn't do that, but this does. That does also click. Doesn't serve any purpose other than that. And our great news on this one is that we're actually going to donate some of these to production. So we hope
that they'll be
at some point,
used.
maybe. I mean, never know what happens once they get to the set.
Sure,
they may change them. But the fact that we get to do that is nothing else. Look at that design, isn't it lovely? That sort of perfect curve.
The perfect curve is lovely, and also I love the holes through the trigger.
Yeah,
it's like a pointless tactical aspect, but gorgeous.
Yeah,
just there's a little spring with a ball there making that work.
Because everybody knows on the original and the heritage behind this of a TOS phaser, the original series phaser, is undeniable. It's not the same, but on a TOS phaser, when you turn this, the emitter moves.
Right.
This doesn't do that because that isn't something that they'd thought about and they hadn't really considered.
Yeah.
We have some technical drawings. There's a guy called Ray Lai who did the technical drawings for these before the props were built, and he describes this as bore adjustment, which I love.
The iris.
We're not sure what he means by that. Does it bore through something? Is it the iris? We don't know, but we love that.
This color
must
have kicked your ass.
Oh, yeah.
That is a transparent blue over a metal cast.
Over aluminum. It's anodized into the body, and there was no code for it. They sent me a chip of material and said, copy that.
So it's not you're matching a Pantone color.
No, there was no RAL codes. There were no paint codes because it was apparently a color that was arrived at after a great deal of discussion, but it is Star Trek blue. It works, and it's that blue silver color. It's great.
Dude, it's so beautiful.
We're really pleased with
this. And
again,
one. This is just fully machined front.
Yeah, all fully machined here. The back here is machined. These little buttons are machined, and the little ribs on the side here are aluminum pieces.
And just to be clear, actually machined parts in final production pieces are rare.
They are.
You usually go to spin cast or white metal.
Yeah. Limited production too. We'll probably only do 1,000 of these. So again, there are people who will machine you 10,000 pieces, but there aren't so many people who will machine you 1,000 pieces.
So you don't get that economy of scale. No. But God, it's gorgeous.
But you have to have it. If it wasn't right, this would annoy me. If this wasn't something you could move or play with, it has to happen.
I love the hills you decided to die on. All right, let's move on to, oh my goodness, the big Bertha here.
Yeah, that's a prototype, so please forgive some of the gnarly details.
Fair.
First contact phaser rifle, one of the great ones. It's just something about it. It's, again, somewhat unusual for Star Trek to have a very overtly military-looking weapon.
Yes.
But we saw it. It's in one of those great scenes where the ship is, essentially overrun by the Borg. They've had it handed to them on a plate. They're done.
Yes.
Even I love the scene where the guy's trying to increase the power and it's just not working. I don't know. There's something about this weapon, but it also has some really bizarre features. The strap is a car seatbelt.
That blows my mind. And that whole business
all hidden inside here. So trying to source the seatbelt mechanisms, it's a go-kart seatbelt. It's not a full car.
Oh, nice. So it was small enough.
Small enough, and it has the counterweight and the teeth. This will have lights. This is a prototype, so these are wrong. These are not actually operating correctly.
Okay.
They should be power settings. The prop did not have them. It was mostly stickers. And you have the flashlight feature here, which we'll add.
Oh, yeah. So what will the final piece be made out of?
We can't do it all in metal. I did try, but the weight would be crippling. So it will have some metal parts, but it will be fiberglass and resin with some metal pieces. And I'm trying to work out a way to have an interchangeable barrel here, because the eagle-eyed and the fans know that this particular prop, for reasons that no one can explain, has two completely different barrels at different points in the movie. And in fact, in some scenes, they come in the room with this, and when they leave the room, it's got the other one. Just
that's
one of those,
awesome.
One of those things.
And you're going to do full lights and sound.
Yes, full lights and sound. So there will be metal pieces here. There will be some metal here. Currently trying to work out where to hide and conceal batteries and switches. The original just had a couple of rocker switches hidden under here, which do not look very in universe. So we're gonna use some of the detail in the sculpt to hide some of the buttons. Yeah. Yeah, again, won't be screen accurate, but it will make a much more pleasing to own. You don't want a beautiful thing like this with a couple of Radio Shack rocker switches under here.
No, none of that. Like a big wall switch on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Incredible. I can't. Your guys' ambition is really amazing.
We're just fans who make things that we hope other fans will like.
It is a really, I appreciate your commitment to the aesthetics and to the experience. Every single one of these has felt satisfying in a way that is rare.
That's something we really want to push for, because this is an investment. These are not something you buy on a whim.
Right.
And they're not something we want you to stick on a shelf and put on a display and never touch ever again. They're something we want you to think while you're sitting there going, you know what, I haven't picked up my tricorder in a while. You want to make people keep going back, because it is the experience. You know, we love these things from these shows and movies, because it's not just the movie, but we remember who we were with, what we were eating, what we were wearing, what was on the experiential
who we
element.
Thought we were going to be.
And what they mean to you. You know, what does a tricorder mean? A number of people have come up to me at shows and said I became a doctor or a nurse practitioner because of Star Trek, and it's like, wow. How cool is that?
Well, and I think among us collectors, we have all had the experience also of obtaining the thing that looked perfect, but was so delicate or so poorly built that while it looked good, the moment you touched it, it just fell to pieces.
But it served a purpose. It was script driven. You know, director needed it, and usually, you know, all the prop guys out there, we feel your pain. You're usually given, what, 10 minutes to make something on a budget of 50 cents, and it has to look like $1 million.
Yeah, no, we can't afford metal. Do it out of straws, drinking straws.
Exactly, and I need it tomorrow. In fact, I need it yesterday.
Yes.
All of those things make the prop so much more of an object and a thing, and it has a life of its own. And then when you come to have the honor of replicating it, which is, you know, it's a strange process.
Yes,
I equate it to, you know, you can copy a work of art from a master painter. It will never be Picasso or, you know, Mondrian or whoever. There are some fabulous copies. They're never quite the same. And this is the same. We're taking the art of you know, people forget. I mean, you've talked about this before. That prop to exist on camera probably needed 10 people to touch it before we even saw it.
Well, and then you'll do all this research to figure out from the original what these parts were, where they were, and even having all that information doesn't mean when you assemble them, you end up with a perfect prop.
They don't
you still have to get it all to gel.
And then you get 3 guys who tell you 3 completely different, conflicting stories. They all worked on set. Who am I to judge which one is right? So it's
and every fan is watching for a different thing and seeing a different prop.
Often the one thing I've learned is there's never truly one answer. There's usually 3 or 4, and I get to be the guy who has the responsibility to pick the one I decide is the right one.
Or you get to pick a couple of answers, that sort of thing.
Like I said, when we can, we will.
That is real. I love this. That's maybe one of my favorite parts here, is that you allow for different fan experiences to enjoy themselves at your expense.
Well, when we release a product, the thing that kills me is that one guy I can't make happy. And I know that you can't make everybody happy, but I don't fixate on the 50 or 60 emails we get saying, this was great. I fixate on that one guy who goes, I wish you did that.
Have you ever said to that guy, oh, you're that guy?
No, I feel like I've failed because it's my job, and I'm not perfect.
Right.
And I'm up against pretty horrendous deadlines myself. I mean...
But you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
a fair
while.
Bit.
Yeah, it seems like. Yeah.
So what I mean by that is you have you also have the institutional knowledge of what decisions will land with an easy grace and what decisions might not.
We've been doing this now. We've been making prop replicas for about 14 years. I don't want to go out of business tomorrow. This is how I feed my family.
Yeah,
this is how I pay my mortgage. So I have to make it. At the end of the day, it's a commercial endeavor. So yes, knowing what can be done without breaking the bank is usually the hardest skill, and also the most heartbreaking thing, because when you want to do it and you just can't afford to do it, because you look at the end result and go, well, no one's going to pay, you know, $5,000 for this prop. It's never going to sell.
Right,
and then you could make it perfect, but it would break you.
Yeah.
And it's not worth, the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Fair. Barry, it is such a beautiful array.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing all these amazing toys to my cave.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, this is fabulous.
Suits you.
We will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching that video. We have some brand new merch available at the store. A dog's age ago, I mean like 2018, 2019, this wonderful graphic designer named Brian Otterer reached out to us and sent us some stickers. He has a design firm called Dash 3 Dots, and we loved his stickers so much we wanted to sell them on the merch store. Well, he updated them with our new logo, and we've got Adam in the Martian spacesuit sticker. We've got Adam in the shuttle suit sticker. We've got Adam in the Apollo suit sticker. And my personal favorite, Adam in the alien spacesuit sticker. Get yours now, tested-store.com. Hey!